Good morning, Emelia Hartford. Welcome on VH Berries.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
A breakdown of a great day for you is cool stuff, cool cars, cool people.
I'm very fortunate to have an incredible, team and friends who are adopted family now around me.
Right now, you have a channel dedicated to cars, which is one of your passion, and I would love to discuss about this specific activity and also your acting career because you're doing a bunch of stuff right now.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate and blessed to be involved in the sequel of California Christmas. The sequel follows Callie and Joseph a year after they fall in love, and family obligations call Joseph back to the city, and that's where their love is then threatened. And I play Lindsay. I am I would say, a fun, socialite, just want to live my life, trying to find the probably a wealthy man to settle down with, and I play alongside actor Daniel Bucco, and of course the leads Lauren and Josh Swickard. And it's an incredible scene, and it was a lot of fun to shoot. And overall, the ESX family was it was an amazing production. I was very thankful to be able to do it. So that streams on Netflix next Thursday, or this Thursday, depending when this releases, December 16th. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm really excited for it.
You were on the rooftop during the recording of this scene. Maybe that this rooftop had an helicopter to deliver some cars, maybe.
That would be nice. We filmed it oh man, it was early summer and it was so cold. I have a photo on my Instagram of me just wearing a puffy jacket down to my feet. But it was cool. You could hear some cool cars driving by, just like reverberating off the walls of the city towers in San Francisco. So it was a really beautiful location.
I made a reference to one of your videos in which you delivered a car with an helicopter. This sentence is surreal.
I know, thank you. I was trying to think of a fun way to take delivery of my dream car. And, I would say, listen, I work very hard to get to where I am. So please take everything I say with the most grateful humbleness possible. I took delivery of a Ferrari 458, which is unbelievable to me because I never would have seen myself owning a Ferrari. And it's my first Italian supercar. And I was trying to think of what a fun way to take delivery is. So I took delivery of the red 458 via helicopter, and they dropped it off for me in a crate. And it was a wild experience. And, a lot of the subscribers had a fun time watching that and just being involved in the journey for all these years.
It was a journey, Emelia Hartford, and if I understood correctly, you were also in the helicopter.
My friend, copter pilot, and Alex Troy flew us to the location where it was their friends who did the delivery of the car via their helicopter. It all sounds so wild when I talk about it. Never in a million years, I tell you. But yeah, I got a ride via helicopter to the shoot location, believe it or not, and they definitely showed me a good time. It was fun.
And to come back to the word that you just said, in the humble way, that's because you moved back to California around 10 years ago. But at the beginning, it was more to do acting. And you worked actually more than 2,000 days in restaurants.
Why you gotta do me like that? You make me realize how many days I worked in a restaurant restaurant for. Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful that I experienced working in a restaurant. I mean, I got a job at 16. I was working 3 jobs while also going to school part-time. And, you know, this was in Indiana. And I couldn't turn on the television without feeling guilty because I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And I loved watching performances. But at the end of the day, I just knew that I needed to move back to California. And at 18 years old, I packed my little race car with everything I could own and drove cross country. And, you know, I had a big wake-up call of what life in reality was on your own in the big city. And I worked for 6 years working restaurant job after restaurant job, pursuing that dream of acting. And I think it was at that point too that, you know, after 6 years, I didn't get anywhere. I was auditioning, I was cold emailing agents and managers, I was mailing little headshot cards to casting directors, I was in all the acting classes they told me I needed to be in, I was self-submitting myself, I was doing everything by the book that I was told I needed to do, and you know, 6 years is a long time when you're on your own, you're just trying to, you know, make sure you can afford your rent every month, and something needed to change. So I, you know, from the peer pressure of my mom telling me I should start YouTubing working on cars, and my peers, my friends, I never changed the end goal. I kept the same goal. I just changed how I was going to get there. And that's what YouTubing allowed for me to do.
Emelia Hartford, I am expecting you to make a rap remix. Started from the gas station, now we're here.
Wait, that's a really good idea. I love that. And you referenced the fact that to get my first vlog camera, I spent every single penny in my bank account. And I met this guy I found on Craigslist selling his used Canon G7X at a gas station in downtown LA. I showed up by myself too. And that's the camera that I just started vlogging with. So yeah, it started from the gas station, now we're here.
And now I understand the situation better, because at the beginning I thought that this is very curious, the fact that a gas station would sell camera equipment. But now you just told me that this was just a meeting point.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have shown up by myself, but I did. You know, reflecting in my life, there's probably a lot of things I shouldn't have done, but realistically, that's just, you know, me getting older, looking back at younger me, like, you were a little too daring, but, you know, I'm thankful I was, because I wouldn't be where I am today without that.
In definitive, by creating your own tunnel and channel, you put your own fate in your own hands.
Yeah, at the time, I didn't realize that it would grow to be what it is today, but I think it was just intimidating for me because, you know, you hear all the stories, you see all these people who put their fate into their own hands, and it's a little scary too because there's always the what if you don't make it, what if it doesn't happen for you? And I heard something that kind of changed my outlook on that, and it was like, well, what if it does happen? And I kind of changed that towards my mentality, and you know, if you just keep working at it and just, you know, understand where you're going, try to set a plan and know it and understand that it's not always going to be easy, and sometimes work is exactly that, it's work. You know, I feel like that changed my mindset, is just having a positive outlook definitely helped me when times were very difficult, even when it felt like it was impossible, if that makes sense.
The goal is to keep the faith.
I think just be positive. You know, I'm very hard on myself as a person, and I see a lot of people who are as well. And I think, you know, don't think what if it doesn't happen. For people who are looking for a little bit of advice, think like, what if it happens, you know? Because I do believe it's possible. I'm very fortunate my mom told me growing up that you can do anything you set your mind to.
Emelia Hartford, you just mentioned it. Right now you have a supercar, a Ferrari, but at the beginning you had a Nissan.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a Nissan 240SX. For those listeners or viewers who don't know what exactly that is, it is a 90s Japanese two-door car that was predominantly, it became like the kind of drift car that everyone was using. And part of why I got that car is because I wanted to learn how to drift and start getting into that. And I based my YouTube channel off of rebuilding that car and learning how to drift in 1 month. And setting a goal really helped me to continue pushing after that. And then from there, I had many other unreliable cars. But, I still have her today. I call her Envy, green with envy. And yeah.
Absolutely, because the couple first video of your YouTube channel were about this 240 SX. So you are also into the machine inside the car to fix everything.
Yeah, so it does have an LS engine. It's basically the engine out of a Chevy Corvette. So that's fast. It's a naturally aspirated V8. Yeah, she gets and goes. But there's a lot of work that needed to be done to her when I first got her. So she's, even today I'm still working on her and constantly trying to push that car. And not only the car, but, my experience in wrenching, but also in driving as well.
You mean that as the day of today, the car is still there?
Yeah. I'm still ordering parts for her all the time.
You mean that you have a huge parking to store everything?
Yeah. Especially with where I live now, parking isn't easy. When I first drove that car cross country back to LA, I was living in an apartment complex in Hollywood, and I only had one parking spot, and I negotiated for two, and there were so many times that they tried to take that second spot away from me even when I didn't have a car. But I knew that, I was going to need a place to work on my car. And of course, I started working on my cars there to start getting eviction notices saying I wasn't allowed to do that. And that was just, I didn't let that stop me. I just kept trying to find a way to keep pushing forward and working on cars, because it's my passion. It's what I love to do.
That's very ironic, Emelia Hartford, because we often say that the Californian traffic is one of the worst. So your solution is to go on dedicated field and circus to use the cars at their best potential.
So I'm laughing right now because my 240 didn't have air conditioning, had an overheating issue, definitely was not good for a daily driver to sit in traffic with. And the amount of times I would go to auditions with that car with the back of my shirt wet and my makeup melting, my hair frizzy because of how hot it is out here and how hot it would get inside the cab of the car. Oh gosh, casting must have thought I was nuts, just dripping in sweat. They probably thought I was so nervous and I was just baking in this car.
You mean that this very specific car didn't had air conditioning, which is a major issue.
It didn't have air conditioning. To this day it doesn't have air conditioning. What's a race car? You don't need AC.
Emelia Hartford, another field that is pushing the limits of the cars, is the cinema industry in which you are also working in. What is your takes on the finest cars movies and series? Because I would totally imagine you playing in these movies.
Yeah, I mean, high level, I would love to do action films, especially if they're based around cars. Like, I don't think I could ask for a better job. So, trust me, I'm doing everything I can to try to be in either Fast and Furious franchise or something along those lines. That would be the dream.
In 5 years, we are maybe going to see Emelia Hartford in an action movie in a car attached to a rope at the top of a mountains, maybe.
Yes, and if they'll let me, I'll do my own stunts too.
With no air conditioning.
That's right.
Emelia Hartford, thank you so much for your time. I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you so much. This was honestly such a pleasure. I really appreciate it. And thanks for taking the time for speaking with me.